We organized a tour to the Cape Coast Castle in Ghana, one of the European fortresses on the coast of Africa that played a major role in the transatlantic slave trade. At the Cape Coast Castle, we asked the tour guide about the roles African chiefs played in the transatlantic slave trade. Listen to his answer and explanation.
I want to know the role our chiefs played in this whole thing. Cape Coast Castle was built by the English somewhere in 1664. This castle was purposely designed for the transatlantic slave trade. So it is only in this castle you will see that it is designed for humans. Elmina, Osu, their areas are a bit smaller, all because it was meant for goods before later it got converted into dungeons. One may probably ask what even brought about this trade itself. You know, within the 1400s, the Europeans were coming to Africa. Some would say as missionaries, as explorers, as merchants. But I always said the aspect of the human trade also got them here. And why would I say this? Before the Europeans came to Africa, there had once been Arabs in here. The Arabs in Africa mostly would be at the north and the east of Africa. Just as the Europeans did in the same thing they did. For them, once they get humans, they get natural resources. Either they move them to their countries or to Europe to sell them. At a point, the Europeans wanted to break the monopoly that the Arabs were enjoying. Because you know, acting between them, if I'm to trade this person, she used to be a regular person, means I have to pay her before I get to this person. If I get rid of her, then I can get access. They as well got to that most of the resources in Africa is not at the north, neither the east of Africa, but the majority of them in the west and the center of Africa. That is why the Portuguese, being the first group in here, never used the north. Because for Portugal to Africa, it would have been easier using the north, but rather the west became the best alternative for them. Historically, they do say then Congo happens to be the first place, but that is not true. Because earlier than that, they had already been to Sao Tome, they came to Senegal. Coming here as well also to counter Islamic religion, they took 12 Africans from this place, that is 1441, to Portugal. The king saw these black guys and said they were strong as slaves, but not rather as missionaries like they intended, so they never came back. So coming back 1471 also to Ashos means that human trade was also part of the business. You know, when they came in here within the 1500s, they as well had to the west, seeking routes to India. But if they were to use the east route, it means how to use the Arab route. So the west became the best alternative for them. They got to the Americas and the Caribbean. Over there, they started plantations in large scale. The natives over there were those they subjected to work for them on the plantations. And due to the strength and health of these people, they were dying in numbers. Supposedly, two Catholic priests, one by name Manuel, the other also Bartholomew de las Casas, were like, why don't they then shift their demand to Africa? These Africans are proven to be strong. The African system can withstand both tropical disease as well as the European diseases. Africans themselves know nothing about the New World. So if you want someone to substitute for this way, then Africa become the best alternative. And then we had a Pope by name Pope Nicholas V, and he accepted the fact by these two Catholic priests and then started the whole system of the trade. After the escape is made here, that wouldn't end the trade. Because in the New World, they would also exchange humans for sugarcane, tobacco, cotton, coffee, rice, and others. Things they had out there. They moved them to Europe. Europe, they are transformed into finished goods, and the finished goods are coming back here for the cycle to start again. And that gave us the triangular trade or the transatlantic slave trade. So Europe happens to be the origin, Africa, the Middle Pacific, the Americas, the Caribbean, the second place, and it started over and over, which took almost 300 to 400 years before it ended. Question, comment before we give this. Yes. So I want to know the role our chiefs played in this whole thing.
All right, so you know, when the Europeans got in here, they stayed for some years before the whole system actually got intensified. They knew that Africans themselves had their own system of slavery. We call it the servitude system, or let me say the servantship. So if they came in groups, so let's say I fight this group today and defeat them, I keep my community. Communities became, let's say, states became kingdoms became empire. Just that the African system was made such that if you put up good behavior, you can rise from your status to become part of the master's family, inherit properties, descendants were not slaves. So Europeans knowing the system that African had, it was easier for them to get them. How? Let's say I'm from England, and let's say she's from, let's say, Denmark. So when I come in, I will make this group my friends. She will also make this group friends. So if my group fights them and defeats them, they will bring the prisoners of war. And if this group also fight at them and defeat them, also bring them. So we wouldn't go out to do our hunting again. Rather, we leave it for them to lead their fight. And mostly, you know, in the olden days, it was chiefs that were leading wars. That is why mostly we do attribute the fact to the chiefs. Because it's either a chief or a war leader, and mostly the war leaders were also sub-chiefs. But that's mostly say the chiefs actually got involved. And most of the chiefs actually fell for the act all because the focus was one, the land they're going to get back. Because you know, earlier they had their own place where they were fused into the system. So once they also have their weapons, it makes them powerful. Aside that, the land now belongs to them, so all the resources on the land belongs to them. And when the European comes back to buy the resources, it will also come to them, not to the old chief again. For that, most of the chiefs got involved. And they had some Africans that were not chiefs, but then for them, they moved to areas to hunt for others, bring them here to participate. Majority of the people within the post-European themselves captured them, all because they knew some of them had skills in terms of goldsmiths, constructors and all that. So when they took them, they considered that they were going to give them better lives. But then once you end up there, whatever you promise, you will get it. Of which African involvement in the trade amounted for almost 70% of the system a year. The remaining 30% were done by the European themselves. Most of the chiefs never traveled outside to the system out there. Because they thought the system they had in here was the system out there. Not it was all different.
So they had no idea what they went through over there, right?
Historically, nobody can say that there was a chief that traveled with them to see what's happening.
So they didn't know anything.
All they knew was the same system they had in here as they were using them, the same system out there. By the point some of the chiefs got to know of it in terms of, you know, they had some of their descendants to travel to go and study. But then because they have already enjoyed it, or the business has been there for almost 200 years, are you the one to stop the business? So it became something that had been taking like almost 200 years before others got to travel outside to study. So outside, some of them got to know the system there. But then coming back, most of them also got brainwashed and came in as missionaries and as clergymen.
I'm from the state of Virginia, United States of America, of course. Where we've been taught in history, right, that the African people sold us, I'm going to say my ancestors, right, to England in the colony. Is that true?
I would say it is never true. But because you know, mostly they do say that Africans were selling their people, not their brothers and sisters. Let me say, I'm using two, let's say, continents, Africa and Europe. Let's say I'm from Greece, she's from Portugal, we're not the same. Those days, an Yoruba and Igbo were not the same. Ashanti, a Ghana person were not the same. So those days, the mate men, we already had a system where we fight each other to grow. So when they came, knowing the system we had, they then had to actually fuse their system into them. So with that, they supplied them with weapons, like I said, some of them being the seed. So once I do capture you, this time, I wouldn't keep you there to grow my system again. But then now I get the land for myself, as I was doing earlier, but then prisoners of war were rather giving out. So nobody actually brought a family member or a sister to be a slave. Rather, enemies, when they put it that way, they were brought in as prisoners of war. So that was the system, not like brothers bringing, because I'm not sure even if you're that hungry, you bring your child in here to be exchanged for these things.